Hey everyone, it's Boardgames Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I had the opportunity to attend PAX Unplugged 2019 and I was able to stop by a lot of the publishers' booths and check out what they had, but I didn't get to check out every single booth. And so I ended up getting sick and leaving and heading home early from the con. But I guess that's what happens when you use a water bottle that's been stuck in your backpack for a couple weeks and then you use it again. So anyways, here are my top 6 booths at PAX Unplugged 2019.
Number 6, Amigo Games.
This booth got my 6th spot mostly because of this awesome game that you see here, right here, called Adventure Tactics. I had the opportunity to talk a little bit about the game with Dan, the publisher, and the game is closely mirrored to the video game Final Fantasy Tactics, and the game has kind of a Gloomhaven feel to it, but lighter than Gloomhaven. It's a campaign-driven game where you go through scenarios, and the scenario is about an hour each, where you fight monsters or bosses, and when you level up you can choose to level up on the same class that you currently are or a different one. And what ends up happening is eventually you unlock different elite classes by mixing and matching, and there are 20 different elite classes that you can become. Now then when you upgrade your character, you get different cards to use and your hero becomes stronger. But what I really like about the game is when you're going through the campaign and you have places where you break off and go different routes, and go into different scenarios depending on like certain items that you have or certain things you've accomplished so far. And so it'll say, go to this scenario if you've done this, go to this scenario if you've done that. If you haven't done any of those, then go to this scenario. And so the game isn't the same thing every single time you play the game, and you can reset the game, have a new character, and your turning points and everything is going to be totally different every single time. Anyways, you gotta check out this game right now. It's on pre-order right now. It'll be coming out around June, just in time for my birthday. Awesome.
Number 5, Brotherwise Games.
So Brotherwise Games makes my number 5 spot because this publisher started with a smaller type game, Boss Monster. It published it, then it published Unearth, and now it published Call to Adventure, which I'm sure many of you have heard of already. So I like this booth because they started with their own game and they have grown each time while still producing more and more content for their first game. I chatted with Chris about their future projects, and I was pretty excited about it, so check it out.
So we got new games coming out next year, a new Boss Monster mini expansion. We've got some social deduction game that we're working on with Justin Gary, who is a creator of Ascension and Shards of Infinity. And we've got some other surprises in store, including a Call to Adventure full expansion, standalone expansion, based on Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives. So keep your eye on us, we're doing some fun things.
Number 4, Lucky Duck Games.
Now, Lucky Duck Games gets my 4th spot because they've been developing their own games as well and have been publishing other games that they've been finding in French for more and more other people that, speak French to enjoy. But really the reason why I loved visiting this booth is because I got to talk with Vince. He is such a great guy and he does a really good job at being a great publisher. Let's just hear him out here.
It's very light, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of energy because it's real time, everybody is going at. However, it's not timed. So it's not also like I'm dying kind of a thing. It's not that stressful. So that's just PAX Joyride. Paranormal Detective, one of us has died. And that person gets a story And by reading the story, I will hide kind of the thing. We'll know who, why, where, how, and the weapon that killed them. Also, a little story here that gives the full context of it. Now that person has to make at least one of the detective guess the who, why, where, how, and the weapon. It is a competitive game, so it has this mysterium kind of start, but it's very different. How does it work? It's super simple. Each detective have a set of cards like this. I can ask any question. Ghost, who are you? Where are you? Did you die with that? What time was it? And I need to hand over one of those cards to the ghost, and the ghost can only answer using the way the card describes it. So for example, the ghost makes a sound or indicate an object in the room. So for example, I could say, can you make the sound that you did when you died? And it goes, it says, and therefore I'm kind of indicating with that sound that maybe I was drowning. So that's how you try to get to get all those clues. So you're drafting those building cards, and the way it works is simple. Either you're gonna keep this card to try to build it, and it will provide you manufacturing values when it's built every round. So if you manage to build this every round, it will give you 2 gold. Or you can actually discard and kind of recycle this to gain immediately 1 yellow. So it is a game of combo. You need to think, for example, the way you score is at the bottom. So this one gives you a permanent 1 point, but this one gives you 1 point for every blue token that you have here. And this one, you win it, it's a one-time bonus when you build this Casino City. This one gives you 2 points for every yellow building like this. So this is a yellow building here. So for any of those buildings, I get 2 points. So the more I probably want to build as much as I can if I have this type of scoring. Just that there's a lot going on here. It's a Wonderful World, and it's out just now.
Number 3, Luma Imports.
All right, now Luma Imports gets my number 3 spot. So I actually didn't know too much about Luma Imports before going to PAX Unplugged. So when I visited their booth, I just felt at home when I already knew the majority of their games. From what I understand, Luma Imports collaborates with a lot of the international publishers, and they bring their games to the USA. So pretty much they find awesome games and bring them for all of us to enjoy. I mean, what's not awesome about that? So check out a little bit of what Colin had to say, what he had in store in his booth.
This is going to be Similo. This is the latest game from Horrible Guild. There are 2 copies on the table because it comes in both Similo Fables, which is going to be a lot of fairy tale characters and storybook characters, as well as a historical version, which takes a variety of figures from world history across the ages. We also have Team 3. Now, Team 3 is one of the breakout hits from Brain Games, who we recently have started working with. This game is just a hoot because what you have is a cooperative experience for 3 players, and what you're doing is you're going to have one player is going to try to make gestures conferring what the card that they're trying to put together looks like with all these colorful Tetris-style blocks. Now, one player is going to be able to talk and explain what those gestures are because the person with the gestures can't speak. But the final player is the one that has to build it together, but has to listen because that player cannot look while they're building it. Now, Ice Cool is also coming from Brain Games, and this is basically Fast and the Furious on ice. You're going to have a bunch of little penguins, and you're going to be flicking this in a dexterity game in order to try to catch the other penguins on the board turn after turn before they can get through all the different rooms and pick up little fish from the little archways. You're seeing what is probably one of the more classic Euros that we're going to be displaying, and this is Colors of Paris. This is the latest from Super Meeple, a French publisher that typically brings back classic Euros like Attica, which would be now US Telegraph, or Mississippi Queen, which is now, well, it's still Mississippi Queen, but you understand the idea. Colors of Paris is a art-based worker placement in which you are trying to put on the greatest orders in the style of the old masters like Van Gogh and Matisse. So if you can score the most points by the end of the round, you're going to be the winner in this one. Classic Euro kind of stuff. Draftosaurus is a Fast and Furious, just quick playing little drafting game where instead of rolling and writing, you're rolling and placing dinos on a little dino park board. The whole idea here is you're going to have a handful of dino meeples. Someone's going to roll the die, and you're going to take one of your dinos and place them on the board according to where the die has told you may place that round. After you've done that and everyone's made their decision to place the dinos, you're going to take the rest of the dinos in your hand and pass them to the left. That's the drafto part of the Draftosaurus. You're going to keep cycling, you're going to keep adding dinos, and all of those little areas on the park are going to score points based on different patterns depending on what dinos you're putting in there. Most points at the end of 2 full rounds, 12 dinos on your board wins.
Number 2, Amigo Games.
Yes, Amigo Games, number 2. Well, Jeff was so nice in the Amigo booth. He spent so much time, more than anyone else spent with me. First of all, I love their criteria for their games. Let Jeff explain it for a little bit here.
For those of you who don't know, Amigo is a German company that's been around for about 40 years. It's one of the top game companies in Germany. We launched here in the US a couple of years ago, so we're still getting caught up to them, but with your help, I think we can get there. I had the pleasure of going through Amigo's archive of more than 1,000 games and picking out the 30 games that I thought were right for the North American market. And I used 3 basic criteria that apply to most of our games. The first one is they have 5 rules or less. The second one is they have European quality. That's in terms of both the components, but also the gameplay. And number 3, with 2 exceptions in our line, everything sells for $20 and under. So it's a very reasonably priced product line for really good European games.
Now, it's great to be able to just sit down and play a game and not spending half of the time explaining the rules of how to play the game. Besides this, the way that Jeff talks about these games makes me so much more excited about games in general, and I just love the way that he loves games.
Llama, as you can see, was nominated for a Spiel des Jahres this year. We didn't win, but we were one of 3 games selected, which we think is a fantastic honor, and this is a wonderful, great playing game. The object of the game is simple. You want to have the lowest number of points, and the best way to do that is to play all of your cards. So if you can get rid of all of your cards, you'll score 0 points. However, if you're stuck with cards at the end, you will then have to take the number of points of the value of the card. So if I'm holding a 6 at the end of the game, I have 6 points. There's one little twist on the scoring, and that is if I have multiples of the same card, only one of them counts against my score. So if I have 1 6 in my hand, that's 6 points. If I have 2 6s in my hand, that's 6 points. If I have 3 6s in my hand, that's 6 points. In this game, there are only 3 things you can do. You can play a card, you can pick a card, or you can quit the round. If you want to play a card, you can play a card on the discard pile, and it's either the same number or 1 higher than the card that's there. So if there's a 2 down there, I could either play my 2 or I could play my 3. If there's a 3 down there, I could play a 3 or a 4. The 6 is the top of the mountain. That's the highest we go, and that's where the llamas play. You want to get rid of your llamas because they are worth 10 points. So if there's a 6 down there, you can play a llama on top of a 6. You could also play another llama once you're there, but llamas can also skitter back down the mountain, and when they get to the bottom, you can play a 1 on top of a llama as well. That's how you play a card. If you can't play a card or don't want to play a card, you can pick a card from the deck, or you can lay down your hands and quit, locking in the number of points that you have. There's one other little sort of diabolical wrinkle, and that is after you finish a round, you score with these chips. White chips count as 1 point. Black chips count as 10 points. In future rounds, if you play all of your cards and go out, you get to give back 1 chip of your choice. Obviously, you'd want to try and give back a 10, a black chip. The catch is if you only have 8 points, and this is where this interesting little element of strategy comes in. If you only have 8 points, instead of going out this round, you might actually try and take 2 more points so you can trade in and get a black. Because going from 8 points to 7, only giving away a white chip doesn't do much for your score, but going from 10 to 0 does a lot. It's also a great catch-up feature for a player who might not be doing as well as the other players. You play until somebody hits 40 points. Whoever has the lowest score when somebody hits 40 wins the game. It's fast and easy to learn. Takes about 15-20 minutes to play. Even though those rules are so simple, there's tons of strategy in there as to how you hold, manage, and play your cards. It's called Llama. Hope you'll enjoy it.
Also, did you know that Amigo Games has some great kid games? That's something I learned.
This is our top-selling kids game. It's a game called Clack. Like all of other games, it has very few rules, but there's lots of robust and fun gameplay in there. The object of the game is to collect as many discs as you can. You're going to roll the dice, and we're going to see a color and a shape. So let's say I saw green puzzle pieces. I am racing, along with all the other contestants, other players, to find green puzzle pieces and use the magnets that are at the bottom of the pieces to pick up as many other green puzzle pieces as I can. Are there any other green puzzle pieces out there? I may have gotten them all for this round. Then we roll the dice again and we get another one, green stars. So we're all racing to pick up green stars as fast as we can. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that white is a wild card, or better yet, when you explain it to a child, say it's an anything. You can pick up anything green if you roll this. Over here, if you get white and an arrow, you can pick up any colored arrow, anything with an arrow on it. And if you get white and white, it's a total free-for-all. You're picking them up as fast as you can pick them up. At the end of the game, if you want to work on counting skills, you can compare the size of the stacks. You can have the kids count. Otherwise, you can just look at the size of the stacks and see who's the winner. Next game we're going to talk about is Engine number 9. This game combines 2 words I typically don't use in the same sentence very often. It's an introductory strategy game for 5-year-olds. I don't usually say 5-year-olds and strategy in the same sentence very often, but this is a game that pulls that together. So for those of you who want to try and introduce a great game to the next generation of gamers, this is a pretty good one to do it with. The object of the game is for players to race 2 of their 3 trains from any of the start spaces around the tracks to any of the finish spaces. The catch is that, as you can see, the tracks move on every turn. Let me get this set up the right way so I can show you how it works. When it's your turn, you roll the dice, you get a color and a number. Blue, 3. So that means that you move the blue tracks all the way across the board into the open space. There's always one open space. And then you can move any of your trains, if I'm yellow, 3 spaces. So I'd go 1, 2, 3. Now that's not such a great move because on the next round I might go off the tracks. However, if another player rolls blue and they move this, then guess what? I get to go with it and I go all the way across. So I'm now halfway across the board. I can spin around and I'm almost all the way to finish. And a couple of other very simple rules in the game, but this game is designed to have lots of teaching moments for parents and kids to play together. It's also a great game for kids who love trains. The game comes with these 12 toy trains, as well as the board with the pieces that move. And the game, it's a neat game because the board changes on every turn.
Anyways, thank you so much, Jeff, for your excitement in gaming. And for those reasons, Amigo Games booth has become number 2.
Number 1, Bunco Games.
That is right. Bunco Games number 1 was my favorite booth to visit. First of all, it was great to just sit there and watch people come and ask questions about the game, and they could demo it right then and there. And I just stood there watching all these people playing the Funkoverse game. As I stood there, I also got the rundown on the history, as they didn't just pop up out of nowhere, but they were formerly known as Prospero Hall, and they made games for a lot of different publishers. And actually, a lot of their games you most likely have probably heard of or played. Let Stephanie explain a little bit about it.
I know a lot of people are familiar with Funko. Funko didn't just wake up one day and go, let's make a board game. They contacted us and wanted our design studio to make a board game with them. We were Force Prison Creative as our former name. Our pen name is Prospero Hall, which you'll see on the back of a lot of boxes. That's sort of the pen name we give our collaborative effort because all of our studio is so collaborative. We have tons of people that work on every game. It's not just one person for each game. Our whole team is involved and invested in the great games that come out of our studio. So Funko purchased our company after we were starting to make Funkoverse with them, and now we're making games as Funko Games. The same great titles that you played before, Jaws, Horrified, Bob Ross, Art of Chill, Disney Villainous, Choose Your Own Adventure. Those are the types of games that we made, and those are the types of games that we'll keep making as Bunco Games. So we're going to keep bringing good stuff to you.
Alright, so I thought that history was just pretty awesome, as the games they have made in the past have excited me so much. I mean, Villainous, yep, that's a good game. Jaws. Well, I haven't actually played that one, but I know it's good from other people saying how awesome it is. And I'm excited to check out the Funkoverse board game. I actually have a copy of it wrapped for Christmas for my wife right over there, Harry Potter themed. But I was actually also happy to hear this.
So we do have a new size of pops for Funko. These are about 3 inches. They can come off the bases, so you can fully customize your team. They also have items. First time a pop can hold an item. So there are these items. So Batgirl's got this Batarang, but she doesn't have to have the Batarang. Everything's fully customizable. So Harley Quinn could have the Batarang, and maybe Joker has the mallet. Choose your favorite characters, items, map, scenario, combination, and then play. A lot of the fun will be in creatively thinking what team will be best to win that scenario and creating your combination together. It's a tactical miniatures game, a little bit of strategy, team game. So if I'm playing Brody, I go, I activate a character, then Brody goes, he activates a character on his team. We go back and forth. You can do that with the ability tokens. The characters have these special abilities, very thematic and unique to that character. So when Batgirl wants to do a flying tackle, she brings a blue and a silver token to the team. Batman brings a blue and a red token to the team. Together that makes their team resource pool. When she wants to do a flying tackle, she takes the blue token and she puts it on the 3 of her cooldown track. If you play video games, then this will be kind of familiar with you. These powerful abilities, the ability token will go on the cooldown track, and at the end of each round it'll tick down and then it'll come back into play. So crunchy strategy moment number 1, if you like doing the blue abilities with Batgirl, then maybe pair her with characters that will also bring a blue ability token so that you can keep doing that ability more often. So that's one of those like crunchy strategic moments. Also just the cooldown track in general, not just ability tokens go on it, point markers, characters, we got lots of bananas stuff coming out that'll go on the cooldown track, and that'll sort of be your timer on when you'll get characters back, resources back, and when point markers will spawn back onto the game board.
So these games not only have these cool minis that go with them, but they actually have their own worked out and worked on mechanics to actually make a legit game. Bunco Games also made my top spot because Stephanie filled me in on a couple of their future projects that I can't talk about. Now, some of this exciting news is continuing in the Funkoverse and continuing some of the things in there, which is pretty awesome. But what makes me even more excited is the new games that they're bringing that are not Funkoverse. It's Bunco Games that don't have the Funko Pop dolls, not in the Funkoverse, but legit new games under Bunco Games. And this made me excited because, yes, this is still a legit board game company coming out with awesome new games, and I cannot wait.
So Funkoverse isn't the only thing that we have coming in 2020. This is available right now. We have Harry Potter, DC Batman, Rick and Morty, Golden Girls. That's all available right now, but we're going to expand some of those licenses and bring new licenses to the Funkoverse, so stay tuned for that. But we're also doing games that are not Funkoverse and that don't have pop figures in them. So we've got some stuff that is kind of super secret, so I can't reveal what just yet, but we have about 20 games that are not Funkoverse coming out in 2020, and those are going to be, again, some of those same great titles that we've done before, same types of stuff, licensed, heavy thematic type games, and also some unlicensed stuff too. There's something from everybody, to little family card games, to actually some really heavy strategy games. So we're hoping that our hobby gamers are really going to enjoy those.
All right, thank you for checking out the top 6 booths that I liked at PAX Unplugged 2019. I hope you can visit PAX Unplugged in 2020, and hopefully you can get some new games out and get excited about gaming. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.